Please, someone help. Someone please help me save my daughter. My daughter just fainted. Can someone really need to take her to the hospital? Zoe has always been the only child her parents had. Zoe enjoyed her parents' undivided attention from her mom, her dad, and grandparents. In fact, everyone around her. Zoe was like a princess in a wonderland. Whatsoever she wanted and whenever she wanted it, it was done for her. Zoe was the top in her class. She loved everything about life because she had always gotten whatever she wanted. Although her both parents were very busy, very occupied, but they made out time for her. In fact, she loved everything about her life and wouldn't even ask for anything more. One certain day, a friend of hers, her classmate, had asked her if she was going to love to have a sibling. Zoe said no, that she was okay being the only child. But with the passing days, her mom took in after a long time, after 10 years of trying, and had a baby boy, and he was named Gerald. Everything seemed like it was going well. Everything seemed like it was okay. But not until when Zoe started falling sick. It all started one day when the school had called to inform Mrs. Onika that her daughter Zoe fainted in the class. They had taken Zoe to various kinds of hospital. They had taken her to the best hospital in town. But no doctor could diagnose her sickness. Her parents were really concerned. They were bothered. They didn't know what to do. To all the doctors they've taken Zoe to, they did not say anything was wrong with her. Zoe kept on complaining of constant headache, but even after carrying out series of tests, scans, all the doctors said she was okay. But Zoe still kept on complaining that she was in pain. Her head was paining her. And even when her mom had told her to just pray about it, that she was going to be fine, Zoe had fainted 3 times in 1 week. This got her mom really disturbed. And she thought to herself, probably I've not taken her to everywhere I can. Probably I should just take her to the best pediatric hospital in town. Probably I'm going to get to find something, just something that is going to make my daughter okay. Because she lost focus in class. She wasn't even doing well anymore. She barely even goes to school. So every day Zoe fainted at school, she had to stay home the next day. Her mom, Mrs. Onyeka, practically had no life. Because she could not attend to the newborn baby, Gerald, and she had to invite her mom over to stay. Even if her mom had stayed a period of 3 months and had returned, she had to invite her mom back to stay with Gerald so she could be able to take Zoe to the hospital. But this attitude kept on going on and going on. Her mom quickly told her, are you sure you are not going to take Zoe to the traditional home? Probably they would give her some traditional herbs and something to know if Zoe is going to be fine. Mrs. Onyeka had taken her daughter Zoe to the traditional home. They put leaf in her mouth. They flogged her with various kinds of herbal leaf that was soaked in some herbal concoction. But the moment Zoe stood up from there, she fainted again. The herbalist had told Mrs. Onyeka that from everything he had done, nothing is wrong with Zoe. That probably Zoe is pretending to be sick. But Mrs. Onyeka did not want to believe. Zoe had never done such a thing. Zoe is not a child. She's 11 years, for crying out loud. So why would Zoe be pretending to be sick? Mrs. Onyeka did everything possible. She just had to tell herself, probably I should take her to a psychologist. Someone who is going to be able to understand her. Probably someone that is going to talk to her and Zoe is going to understand. So Mrs. Onyeka spoke to her friend, Anwoleka, who is a psychologist. And Mrs. Anwoleka sat Zoe down and gradually counseled her, gradually listened to her complaint, listened to her symptoms, as Mrs. Anwoleka had promised to do everything to get Zoe to normal. But from every information gathered from the MR scan, from the CT scan, from every hospital diagnoses that we gathered, Mrs. Awolika found out that Zoe wasn't actually sick, but she was suffering a psychological disorder named Munchausen syndrome. This is a kind of psychological disorder where someone induces sickness in his or herself in order to get attention, either from the medical personnel or from their loved ones. So in the case of Zoe, that was what she was suffering, because she wasn't getting the attention she used to get from her parents, from her mom. She started pretending to be sick. Mrs. Awolika had told her friend, Mrs. Onyeka, to please pay more attention to Zoe, that probably Zoe was lacking something called motherly love, as she suspects that Mrs. Onyeka was giving more attention to the newborn baby, neglecting Zoe. But Mrs. Onyeka had told her friend that I am not. I try to split myself, but it's not easy. I try to get everyone involved in this. I try to make sure I look at Zoe. I try to check up on her. Mrs. Awolika said, I'm sorry to say, but from our diagnosis, from all the tests we've carried out, the only way to get Zoe back to the way she used to be is for you to give her maximum attention. Probably you ask your mom to spend a longer time in the house, but you have to always have Zoe by your side. You have to always do the same thing you used to do for her, things that that made her feel happy. Little did Zoe know that the doctor had already told her mom everything about her diagnosis. So, Mrs. Onyeka started. It wasn't easy at first, trying to divide herself. The time she had to nurse the baby and try to talk to Zoe, try to play with Zoe the way it used to be. And gradually, she noticed that Zoe stopped fainting at class. The driver stopped speaking Zoe from school. It was Mrs. Onyeka that was always picking Zoe from school, taking her to have dinner, taking her to her violin class. Mrs. Onyeka was always in the picture the way it used to be. Over 1 month, Zoe did not fall sick. Zoe never complained about headache. Zoe never fainted in class. Zoe loved the way it used to be and has always wanted her life that way. As much as Mrs. Onyeka had understood the diagnosis and had understood her daughter, she really needed to talk to her daughter, knowing fully well that she, the mother, is not always going to be there in the picture. Gradually, she's going to grow up, and her mom might not always be in the picture. Things cannot always be the way it used to be. That's why the world tends to revolve. Mrs. Onyeka tried her best to always be in the presence of Zoe, but at the same time always talk to Zoe about the fact that both she and Zoe's father, Mr. Onyeka, won't always be around, and she should learn to adapt, learn to accommodate. The baby is not there to steal the love of the parents, but to be an addition to the family. She should also learn to love her younger brother Gerald the same way her parents had loved her. It wasn't easy for Zoe to gradually adapt. It took a long time, but gradually Zoe adapted to the environment and adapted to having a brother and adapted to everything. It took a very long while. Her both parents were patient with her, knowing fully well that they needed to do this for their daughter. It took a while, but Zoe gradually recovered, one step at a time. Thank you very much for listening to the story of the day. Please, I would like you to share your thoughts on this one. Have you ever encountered such scenario? Have you ever come across someone with such scenario? This does not really mean someone being obsessed with someone. It's something that has to do with attention. Basically, this disorder is not only for children. It can happen in adults. It can even happen as a parent. As parents inducing sickness in their children, when a parent is inducing sickness in a child, probably claiming a child has a particular sickness the child does not in order to get attention, such scenario also exists, and I think those ones are called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Probably a caregiver or a parent is trying to induce a sickness on a child in order to get attention, both medical attention or from anywhere. This syndrome is a generalized kind of syndrome which can happen to anyone. It's not based on age. We've come to the end of the story. Please, I would like you to share your thoughts on this. Have you come around such cases? Have you come around such scenarios? Please and please share your thoughts. We would love to hear about it in the comment section. We'll still be your favorite storyteller, Zika. We thank you all for your constant love and support. We thank you for everything you do for us. Please do not forget to share our stories to your loved ones. Please do not forget to watch our stories to the end. And please do not forget to subscribe and like. So we'll see you again in our next story. Bye for now.